Oh, hello, hello. Welcome. It is Tuesday afternoon, and this is our opportunity right here at MXID to bring you some of the most amazing yet simple and effective tools, tips, and strategies that you can use to help increase your performance anytime, anywhere. So if we haven't had a chance to meet yet, allow me to introduce myself. I am Susan Gaddy. I am the CEO of MXID Consulting. And, in a nutshell, our job is to help people take actions that produce results. For most of our clients, that ends up being creating training programs that focus more on the implementation side of things and less on the knowledge and skill development side of things. So, of course, we need that. But what we found over and over again is that when it comes to training and helping people to get results with their training, is that it's not generally the information that trips people up. So people tend to, close a skill gap pretty quickly from a knowledge standpoint. But there are three big problems that tend to happen after we get that knowledge. So first and foremost, we forget. We forget. You read the book, you take the course, you click all the buttons, and you get done, and you've learned 16, 17 new things, maybe even more, and our ability to retain the majority of that is simply gone immediately. So you might have acquired some really great knowledge, but our ability to actually take it, remember it, and do something with it significantly impacted. The second area that we run into when it comes to training and the things that we're looking to solve is that it's not that you don't understand it, it's that you can't actually do it immediately, right? So think about the last time you've learned something. You're like, oh, that was really cool. I'm gonna go try that on my own. What happens when you go try it on your own? That's a major obstacle for us. We need nuanced training. We need guidance. We need direction. We want to hear stories. How are other people doing it? It's the reason that YouTube and other sources like that, Google, are so popular, because we simply need, in the moment, help and support and guidance where we can get it the most. And those two things are certainly amazing for that. The third thing I think is a little bit less known, and the thing I want to focus on today, is this whole idea of our own minds, our own thoughts, our own beliefs actually get in the way more than those two other things combined. And they also are the thing that we have more power over than we believe to be true. So we work a lot on helping people to uncover and bring from the unconscious to the conscious the natural things that are happening within your own thoughts and within your own belief systems that, quite frankly, are solidified in early childhood and then just reinforced over and over and over again. So they're actually really challenging to break because they are so ingrained. And the first line of defense is to just move something from an unconscious pattern to conscious awareness. And so that brings us to our tip today, which is this whole idea of taking extreme personal accountability. And I want to put this back on this screen for you, because what I really want to do is go through three main ways that if you choose to take extreme personal accountability every day, in your everyday life, in your work life, as a parent, as a child, in any situation, these three things can have a really significant impact. So that's what we're going to focus on here over the next couple of minutes. And I am just going to move my notes over here so I keep us nice and focused. It's always the question of, do you keep your notes handy or don't you? But I think you'd rather have this be effective and efficient than me wandering all over. Okay, so extreme personal accountability is simply choosing, it's a choice, to take ownership over everything and anything. Now I can already hear you. You're like, what? There's so many things beyond control. There's so many things I don't have anything to do with. I'm the victim of whatever happens at work. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I'm gonna give you like all the ones we hear all the time. These are all signs of when you are not in extreme personal accountability. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I didn't go to the right school. It was his fault. He was supposed to do it and he didn't. The weather made me late. The dog ate my homework, right? Those are all signs and signals of situations where we have chosen to give away our ability to remain in command. Notice I didn't say control, in command of ourselves, and actually come up with a different set of solutions to overcome whatever it is that's just gotten in our way. So let's talk about the 3 things that you can actually do to change every single one of those statements and to never feel that way again. Wouldn't that be amazing? Remember, the goal in performance is to stay in action, right? Most training is about learning. We're really focused on how do we take the learning and make changes. So if you want to do something different, if you want to get a different result than you normally get, you're going to have to take some actions. The first one I want you to take is this whole idea of choosing to stay in command by choosing to find a way to stay in motion. And let me give you an example of how this might happen. Let's say you got a flat tire on the highway, right? We have 2 choices right now. We can go into action or we can go into overwhelm and despair and shut down. And that's true either way for almost anything that happens to us. The pandemic just happened. I can choose to go into action. I can choose to go into fear, overwhelm, and shut down. Now, I'm not saying that it's as simple as that, but it is the truth and the reality behind it. Everything that happens has some sort of energy to it. And if you choose to stay in command and take back some of the power and ownership, it is a catapult and a catalyst to things that will lead to action. So let's take this flat tire example. So I'm on the highway, I got a flat tire, and now I'm in the flat, I'm sitting by the side of the road, or God forbid, I'm actually like in the middle of the road with my flat tire. What do we do, right? We can throw up our hands and we can spend 10 minutes going, I can't believe this just happened to me. This just happened to me. I'm late. I'm supposed to pick up my child. I'm supposed to be in my boss. I was on my way to the dentist. I have all these things, right? And what's happening every second that ticks away, that we are in victim mode, I call that victim mode, we are allowing ourselves to remain stuck. And we're going down the energy ladder into grief and despair, which are really hard places to come from. The sooner you can choose to say, okay, this happened. I had a flat tire. What can I do? Where am I in command? How can I stay in control? What are my next action steps? Immediately, that's when we start to see people taking out their phone, calling AAA, reaching out to their husband, rescheduling meetings. Those are action-oriented things that will produce the desired result. Otherwise, you're sitting on the side of the road with your hands in the air and, maybe tears running down your face. So find a way to stay in action. Get out of the energy spiral and get into the energy elevator as quick as you can. Number 2, gratitude and forgiveness. Now, I will be the first to tell you that this is a learned skill, and we choose to hold on to anger and resentment and guilt and shame and fear for way longer than we need to. And when you choose to stop focusing on that side of the situation and start focusing on where can I openly practice gratitude and forgiveness, there is an immediate emotional shift in power. And again, what we're trying to do is keep you in action, right? And the energy down the spiral takes away. Action moves you up the ladder and gives you the ability to make those changes. So again, we might hear things like, he made me feel this way. This wasn't my fault. Now I'm stuck with all the consequences, right? So on and so on and so on. All of those words are pushing us down into fear, guilt, shame, and those cause us to get stuck. We get stuck in that place, right? We get stuck in that place, and it's so much harder to move forward. Even if you shift to anger, I have a different feeling about anger lately. And, normally I would think that anger was sort of like, it's just not a good feeling to it. But anger is actually a propeller and a motivator to actually move you forward. Now, we want to harness that and we want to, rein that anger in. But in reality, Your anger response is a step up the energy ladder as opposed to the despair response, which is a step down the energy ladder. So simply practicing gratitude and forgiveness for the situation, for what has happened, is a way to take back your power and move you up the space into more action-oriented things. And number 3 is actually my favorite one, and I've been talking about it a lot in the community this week, but is this whole idea of simply showing kindness and compassion to yourself. What we have found through all the studies and all the research, and if you follow the gurus in this, and then when you start to practice it for yourself, you really get the heart and soul of this. But the only way to be kind to others is to come from a place of kindness. And kindness starts as an internal driver. And I want to give you a couple of signs for how this might sound, right? Let's say you're on a tight deadline for a work project and something happens. The PowerPoint goes down, what you thought was going to work didn't work. You tried something new, it fell apart. All the things, right? All the things that happened. What's your immediate response? What is the thing that you say to yourself? Does it sound something like this? Oh, you're so stupid. I can't believe you just did that. What an idiot. The other day I ran my car into a pole by myself, didn't hurt anyone, didn't hurt myself. But, I knew the second I hit it that's thousands of dollars that I'm now going to be responsible for. And, my initial immediate response was always like, I cannot believe you just did that. But because I've been working so hard and focusing so much on practicing kindness and gratitude and compassion for myself, my whole scenario and outlook really changed immediately. And I sat there for a moment and I let the feeling be the feeling. And then the next thing I know, I was telling myself how, this is just one of those things that happen. There's nothing wrong with you. You didn't do anything wrong. This wasn't on purpose. Mistakes happen. And just that reinforcement and positive self-talk to myself, I found that later that night when I was having a conversation with my son about something that he did that I wasn't so happy about, I was actually far more likely to share those same words of compassion and grace and forgiveness to him as I extended to myself. And I can give you countless examples of the exact opposite of that scenario, where when I turned anger and emotions, inward to myself, that ultimately that was what was produced later in my day as well. So kindness to yourself and showing yourself compassion, especially in the moments when you need it the most, is the path to extreme personal accountability and being able to stay in action. So let's go back through these things. Doesn't matter what happens, where can you stay in extreme personal accountability and get yourself moving up the energy ladder and into action mode, which will be the thing that ultimately helps you to change and conquer whatever situation has just been presented to you. So stay in action when you can, by being able to focus on whatever power you have and whatever control you have. Practice gratitude and forgiveness. That is a way to take back your power in any situation and to stop giving it away to others freely and willingly. And of course, number 3, which I probably should have put first because it's most important, is beginning to practice kindness and compassion to ourselves, especially in the heat of the moment when the things have first gone wrong. The better you get at that, the more you'll do that for others. I hope you enjoyed this session of how to solve the performance gap. We're going to continue to practice and bring these things to life, sharing any comments below about what you liked or didn't like, or any topics you'd love to explore is an amazing way to help us deliver even better content for you. And if you are someone who is responsible for training, either you create training yourself, you create training in your organization, and you want to learn how you can start bringing these transformational training principles and formula into your work situation so you can produce better results and better performance, then let's get connected because we have lots of information to share. Have an amazing day.